You've got budget for 3 hires, 3 seats at the table, and 12 problems that each require someone good. So you do what feels natural. You hire 3 people who are good at the thing that keeps you up at night. And now you have a party of 3 rangers. They're excellent at tracking. They're excellent at scouting. They can all see the threat coming from a mile away. And then the threat walks up to the front gate, knocks, and nobody in the party knows how to hold a shield. Welcome back. I'm the architect. We've spent 10 episodes in the Monster Manual. You know what's out there. Every creature, every technique. Today is our second side quest. A pause before we meet the adventuring party. Because before we can talk about who the defenders are, we need to talk about how you build the team in the first place. Not job postings and interview rubrics. Leadership. How do you pick the right people? How do you keep them? How you build something that works when you're not in the room. And how you avoid the mistakes that feel like good decisions until they aren't. The instinct when you have a hiring rec is to fill the gap you feel the most. You're drowning in incidents? Hire an incident responder. Then the next rec opens and you're still drowning in incidents, so you hire another one. Now you have a team of 3 people who are all great at the same thing, and every other problem is still on fire. Here's the principle. Every hire should make the team less you. Not another copy of your strengths. Someone whose strengths cover your blind spots. The question is never, what skill am I missing on paper? It's, what does this team fail at as a system? If everyone on the team is technical and nobody can write a business case, you don't need another engineer. You need someone who can walk into the council chamber and translate. 5 fighters is a raid group. An adventuring party has a fighter, a healer, a scout, a mage, and someone who can talk to the dragon without getting eaten. Your first hire matters more than your 5th. Not because the work is harder, because the first person defines the culture. They define how problems get solved, how risk gets talked about, what good looks like. I've been the first person in the room more than once in my career. The one who carries the institutional knowledge through a transition. When a company gets acquired, when a team gets restructured, when the team who built the program leaves and someone has to remember where the traps are. That person isn't just doing a job. They're the reason the organization understands its own systems. Lose them, and you don't just lose a head count. You lose institutional memory, and that's expensive. Sometimes impossible to rebuild. Your first hire is the foundation stone. Get it wrong, and every floor you build above it is crooked. Technique can be taught. Give someone 6 months, the right mentorship, and a real problem to solve, and they will learn the tools. Judgment can't be taught in 6 months. Knowing when a risk actually matters and when it doesn't. Knowing when to escalate and when to let something go. Knowing the difference between a real incident and a noisy Tuesday. At the junior level, hire for curiosity and work ethic. Skill comes later. At the senior level, hire for judgment. Skill is table stakes. The most dangerous hire is someone who is technically brilliant and has absolutely no instinct for when to stop talking and start listening. We've all met that wizard. Knows every spell in the book. Casts fireball in a room full of hostages. Technically correct, catastrophically wrong. I may or may not have been that guy a time or two. There's a tension in every team between promoting from within and bringing in someone from the outside. The apprentice knows the kingdom. They know the walls. They know which gate sticks. They know which guard captain is difficult on Thursdays. That's institutional knowledge you can't import. The mercenary brings perspective. They've seen how other kingdoms defend. They've fought different creatures. They bring techniques your team has never considered. Neither is always right. If the team needs continuity, promote the apprentice. If the team needs disruption, bring in the outsider. The mistake is assuming one approach is always correct, or worse, hiring the outsider and then resenting them for not already knowing where the gate sticks. If you bring in outside talent, let them be outside talent. That's what you hired them for. And if you passed over internal people to do it, you owe them an honest conversation, not a participation trophy. New leader walks through the gate, looks around, sees the problems, starts fixing. This is the trap. The problems you see in the first 90 days are not mysteries. The person before you saw them too. The question that matters isn't, why didn't the last leader fix this? The question is, what prevented it from being fixed? Because it's usually not that the previous leader was incompetent. It's that there was a constraint you can't see yet. A political relationship that made the change too costly. A resourcing fight that couldn't be won. A priority the council set that overrode the obvious fix. If you charge in with your fix list on day one, you will hit the same wall as the person before you, just slower, because you won't see it coming. Your first 90 days aren't for fixing. They're for understanding why things are the shape that they are, because the shape always has a reason. The best people on your team are being recruited right now. Right now, while you're watching this. Someone is in their inbox. Someone is in their DMs, offering more gold, a better title, a shinier keep. And here's the thing. If the first time you think about retention is when someone hands you a resignation, you already lost. Retention is not about the counteroffer. Counteroffers are a defibrillator. They occasionally restart a heart, but nobody calls them a wellness plan. Retention is about whether someone felt like they were growing, whether the work was meaningful, whether they trusted their leadership, whether they felt like they mattered, not just on the org chart, but in the room. People don't leave teams. I know that's cliche, but they really don't. They leave situations where they've stopped growing, and nobody seemed to notice. Here's how you know you've built a good team. You leave. For a week. For a month. Doesn't matter. And the kingdom doesn't burn down. I've been on both sides of this. I've been the one who stayed behind when the leader left, running the program, maintaining the relationships with legal and engineering and the executive floor, making calls, keeping things moving. The programs didn't stall. Not because I'm extraordinary, because the team was built to operate without a single point of failure. That's what a well-built team looks like. And the opposite? We've all seen it. The leader who is so embedded in every decision that the moment they're out of pocket, the entire operation freezes. Everyone waits. Nothing moves. Decisions pile up at the door. That team wasn't well built. It was one person doing invisible work while everyone else executed tasks. If your team can't function without you, you didn't build a team. You built a dependency. The goal is a party that fights well together, not a party that only fights when the DM is at the table. Building a team is not filling positions. It's designing a system of people whose strengths cover each other's gaps, whose judgment you trust, whose growth you invest in, who understand the why behind the work, not just the what. A team that can make calls without you. A team that stays because they want to, not because nobody's offered them something better yet. A team where every person makes the whole thing stronger, not just busier. That's the party you want at the table when the campaign starts. And building it is the most important thing a leader does. More important than strategy, more important than tooling, more important than budget. Because the strategy is only as good as the people who execute it. Your quest objective. Think about a team you're on right now. Any team. Work, personal project, sports, anything. What's the gap? Not the skill nobody has, the thing the team as a whole fails at. If everyone is a doer and nobody's a communicator, that's the gap. If everyone agrees too easily and nobody challenges assumptions, that's the gap. Name it, because naming it is the first step to filling it. We've cataloged the threats. We know what a team needs to look like. Now it's time to meet the one we've been building toward. Next episode, the adventuring party assembles. The security team. Who they are, what roles they play, and why it takes a full party, not a single hero, to defend the kingdom. I'm the architect. We'll talk soon.